The Leo ascendant is all about authority and fidelity. So it has amazing confidence, decisiveness, and leadership ability. On the other hand, confidence can become overconfidence, decisiveness can be overassertion, and leadership can become authoritarian. Because Leo is all about fidelity, it has unsurpassed dedication and reliability. But on the other hand, dedication can be inflexibility and reliability can become exclusivity. So we have 5 symbolic themes here for Leo ascendant, for the Leo rising sign. And each one has been polarized into a positive and a negative version. Each sign is kind of like a musical instrument. So take, for example, a guitar. A guitar sounds like a guitar no matter what, but it sounds quite different depending on how you play it. Similarly with rising signs, each sign has basic symbolism, but leaves us with the question of how this symbolism will be utilized by this particular chart for this particular person. How do you know whether or not you have the positive version or the negative version? Well, you actually have some balance of both, but how do you know what that balance is? For that, you need to know the positivity score of Leo in your chart or in whatever chart you're looking at. At the end of this video, I'll explain how you figure out that dignity. For now, I want to just mention that I just released a new report which will sort out all the dignity for you and give you an exact balance for your rising sign of how much of the positive traits are versus how much of the negative traits. For now, let's talk about these traits of Leo a little bit more slowly and make sure we're clear about what they really mean. So the Leo ascendant is really all about authority, and that's what makes it so confident. A Leo native has great confidence in themselves, but to leave it at that would be an oversimplification because that's not really the full picture of what Leo's confidence is all about. It's not just confidence in myself. It's confidence in everything that has contributed to making me what I am and what I am capable of. So, for example, it also means confidence in your parents, if they played a significant role in raising you, as hopefully they did. Confidence in your school, confidence in your teachers, confidence in your workout routine. So it's not just self-confidence, it's confidence in the validity and the strength of all of your sources of empowerment. Now, confidence is a fantastic trait. And if your Leo is very positive, then it will be a fantastic thing for you. But to the extent that your Leo is not positive, there are some complications about self-confidence which will start to trouble you. Simply put, it's overconfidence. So there's a self-confidence instead could be egoism. I can do anything. Maybe you can do anything, but maybe you should prepare a little bit first. Maybe you should practice a little bit first before jumping into it. You don't have to be that confident. So typically you find negative Leo ascendants are feeling confident or expressing confidence about things that they really shouldn't. It's not that everybody is good at everything. And just because you're not good at something doesn't mean you're not good at other things. But negative Leo has a problem with that. Negative Leo feels like if it admits that it's weak in some area, then that just means that it's weak overall. So it doesn't want to admit that it's never seen this question before. And it has no idea what the answer is. It wants to act like it knows the answer already. It knows how to do this already. You don't have to teach me. So what that winds up doing, ironically, for Leo is setting you up to be self-humiliating because you make a big mistake, or even you make a small mistake, but it's on a very loud scale because you really put yourself front and center. Another thing about Leo's penchant for authority is that this rising sign is extremely decisive. It does not have trouble choosing. It doesn't have trouble making its mind whether it wants to turn left or wants to turn right, whether it wants to go to this school or wants to go to that school, whether it wants to marry this person or wants to marry that person, whether it wants to eat cake or whether it wants to eat cookies. It doesn't get burdened by decisions. It likes making decisions, and therefore it makes the decisions very unequivocally. Like if Leo is your guide, it'll just say, turn right now. It won't say something like, I think you should turn right now if you want to. You could also maybe turn left in a little while. It's not going to talk like that. That's not what Leo talks like. It says turn right. And that, of course, is tied in with the confidence, which is all tied in with the sense of authority that is fundamental to understanding what Leo really is. And this is a fantastic thing if your Leo is very positive, because we all need somebody to make really clear decisions and, not confuse us or make us worried. Just tell me which way to go and I'll go that way. In those situations, Leo really shines brighter than any other zodiac sign. But to the extent that Leo is not positive in your chart or in a particular chart, there are ramifications of this decisiveness which are not always very pleasant for you. We could sum it up by saying you can become over-assertive. You're making decisions where you don't need to make decisions. You could have went multiple ways here. Why did you only have to choose one? Also, the negative ramification of this is you don't let anybody else make any decisions. So you always have your eye on everybody and you're always telling them exactly what to do. And when Leo is negative, that feels really burdensome to those people. And also it makes you feel frustrated because leaders are never happy when their followers aren't happy with them. Now, coming back to the positive side, obviously, if you are very confident and you're very decisive and you're an excellent leader, and that is one of the key qualities of the Leo ascendant, leadership. You don't mind making decisions. You can be very clear and unequivocal because you have great confidence in yourself and in what has made you you. That makes you a perfect leader. And that's a fantastic thing because we all need leaders. But to the extent that Leo isn't positive in your chart, there are negative ramifications to being a leader. Like maybe you're being a leader when people don't want a leader. What I really want to highlight here, what really happens when Leo is negative, is the authoritative nature of the sign and therefore of the individual becomes very assumptive. What do I mean? I mean negative dignity Leos. They assume that they are the leader without confirming it or without having been asked. They just assume that role. Often, even when they are actually explicitly not the leader, they still behave as if they are the leader, and this causes great conflict. So the negative Leo gets into problems with power structures all the time, and it also just gets on other people's nerves because it's overbearing, over-authoritarian, and over-parental in like a fatherly way. Now, the other thing about Leo, besides it being very authority or enabling, it's also a great source of fidelity. This means that Leo is very dedicated. Leo makes a decision, turn right. That means that it doesn't think about, I wonder what would happen if I turned left instead. Maybe I should stop this turning right and go back and turn left. No, Leo is very committed to its decisions. Therefore, it has a great deal of fidelity and dedication. If Leo makes a promise, Leo keeps the promise. If Leo makes an alliance, Leo behaves in accordance with the alliance. If Leo makes a plan or a decision, Leo sticks to the plan or the decision. And that is a fantastic trait, especially in like a father figure or a ruler or in a leader and a boss type of person. But to the extent that Leo is negative, then this dedication has a negative side effect. And we could describe that as inflexibility. You decided to go right and you're never ever going to entertain going left. And anybody that talks to you about left, just shut up. I don't want to hear it. the negative Leo has this kind of closed-mindedness to other possibilities as a negative permutation of its decisiveness and dedication to its decisions. Finally, because of the fidelity of Leo, it is extremely reliable. Since it's dedicated, then you know it's going to stay on track. And that's what reliability means. This is another important nuance of Leo that is perhaps not always so well understood. Leo is generally characterized as some kind of authority figure or leader figure. But Leo is much more than that. Positive Leo. Positive Leo is also an ideal follower because Leo really values leadership. So it really knows the importance of making a decision, making a commitment, making a rule, making a law, making a promise. So it has respect and value for the promises, rules, and laws of other people as well. It values laws and promises and rules. And that's one of the reasons why it's very reliable or trustworthy. You know, a Leo ascendant is going to do what they're supposed to do. They're going to do their duty. They're going to take care of what they were supposed to take care of. But the negative ramification of this, should Leo be negative in an individual chart to the extent to which it's negative, is exclusivity. So how do we get this term exclusivity from reliability? So the reliability of Leo is due to its respect for law, rule, and decision, along with the self-confidence of Leo, both of them devolving in a negative sense. Then you get a person that always finds loopholes. They really know how to stress on the rules and the laws that benefit them, and they really know how to make all the other rules and laws disappear somehow. What benefits me is important, and everybody should follow that rule. And what doesn't benefit me doesn't even exist. And there's another sense to what I mean about this exclusivity. I am important. I am the leader. My interests are important. It's like a narcissism, like a elitism. I am important, and anybody that's following me is important, and we are the important people. That's elitism. And if you're not a part of our group, you're garbage. That's exclusivity. So again, the real question on your mind now, I'm sure, is, am I positive Leo or am I a negative Leo? Or is this person in my life positive or negative Leo? Because it makes a huge difference, doesn't it? So now I'll show you how to figure that out. Sign dignity is extremely useful for interpreting the houses, especially the first house, the rising sign. And you can also use it to interpret the dignity of any house that sign creates in any of the subdivisions as well, which is what I do in my report in the subdivisions module. So without going into too much explicit, mentally exhausting detail, here is basically how you figure out sign dignity. First of all, there's two things you need to know. You need to know the overall dignity of every planet, and you need to know how much aspect each planet is giving to each sign. And once you know those two things, you have 4 steps. You take the overall dignity of a planet and you multiply it by the percentage of aspect that the planet has on a sign. And that's how much dignity that planet is contributing to that sign. And by aspect, I also mean conjunction. However, when you do this, exclude the ascendant lord and exclude the sign's lord itself, because those will be handled separately. Then when you have that tally of the dignity contributed from the aspects of all the planets to a sign, you add to that the dignity of the sign's lord. And you average it with a weight that makes the sign's lord's dignity twice as important as the aspects from the other planets. Then you're halfway done. You got 2 more steps. Now we want to deal with the sign's lord and the first lord, whose influence is always positive. So just get the amount of aspect or conjunction from the sign's lord and the first lord to this particular sign that you're evaluating, and average them up with such a weighting that the sign's lord is twice as important as the first lord's. Now you're 3/4 of the way done. There's just one more step. You take the value that you got in step 3 and you average it with the value that you got before in step 2 in a weighting that makes step 2's 4 times more significant.